Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mikhail, and welcome back to yet another Misfits Racing League broadcast. And I am super excited for this one. We are going to the iconic Suzuka Circuit in Japan for the 18th round of MRL season number 4. The Americas guys, they've already been through the rest of the calendar, and now we're really getting to that stage where the last few tracks in the championship, it could be decided today, ladies and gentlemen. The Constructors Championship can, I believe, be decided today. I believe the drivers as well. But I don't know if he's here. But joining me for this wonderful race is the Spaniard Alejandro Bito. Hola, Bito.
Hello, Mika. Hello, everyone there spectating. I'm really excited to see this because it seems like can be the first championship decided on this season.
Yes, and it can be decided at a track that has some controversial championship deciders in the past. Of course, we're talking about the 1989 and the 1990 championships between Ayrton Senna and Alan Prost. But hopefully we don't see any of those shenanigans here this evening around what is the famous Suzuka International Racing Course on your screens now, ladies and gentlemen. 5.8 kilometers, 3.6 miles, 18 turns, a single DRS zone down that main straight, and some 18 very famous and very historic corners, Beto.
Yeah, the first sector very technique. You really need to nail it. If you miss an apex, you will miss all the time there on sector one. And of course, there not a lot of spots to overtake. Of course, mainly first corner and probably the hairpin.
Yes, overtaking on track is going to be quite challenging. But we'll see what these drivers are able to do, especially if there's some rain forecast for this race. Of course, we don't know yet. But Japan certainly has quite a high likelihood of wet weather compared to some of the other tracks. We'll just have a quick look at the calendar, where we've been and where we are going to. So we've already been to the first 17 rounds of this championship with only, well, including this one, 5 to go, Alex. So very exciting for all these drivers. We've already been to Australia, Bahrain, Vietnam, China, the Netherlands, Spain, Monaco, Azerbaijan, Canada, France, Austria, Britain, Hungary, Belgium, Italy, Singapore, and Russia last week. This week, round 18 at Suzuka in Japan, and then we head off to what would be these guys' neck of the woods. We head to the USA, Mexico, and Brazil for rounds 19, 20, and 21. And then we round out the season in Abu Dhabi for the final round, round number 22. Just before we get into the standings, a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You saw the little intro snippet that they have there. If you're looking for a sim rig to take your experience to the next level and find those extra few tenths that you need to really get the edge over your competitors, then exclamation mark NLR in the chat for the most realistic experience possible. Now we'll have a quick look at the standings before we get things underway here in Suzuka. So currently, as things stand, Becky B leading the championship clearly with 282 points. I do believe it's something like if he wins today's race and Yama can't get higher than, I think, 6th, then Becky B will seal the Drivers' Championship. I don't quote me on that one. I'm just guessing, but it is a very healthy lead of over 100 points between the two Williams drivers. Becky B in first, Yamamoto in second. 15 points behind them is Sejos, who has been on a absolutely amazing form for the past few races. So hopefully he's able to continue that and maybe even challenge Yama for that runner-up position. We'll never know. BTFU will round out the top 4 with 124 points, and Rhapsody only 2 points behind him now. The Mercedes driver dropping from 3rd to 5th in the last few races, being unable to attend, unfortunately. And then Angel in 6th with 83 points. Zamis with 77, Carmel with 45, 1 point ahead of both Cosquito and Maxime B. Both of those guys tied on 44 points to round out the top 10. Then we have Vischer with 35, Holtzman with 26, Chris with 25 from his wing in Singapore, hopefully able to bounce back from what was a disastrous Russian Grand Prix. Then we have the two Red Bulls of Gabizem and Fizimon in 14th and 15th respectively with 22 and 21 points apiece. Then Guizo 1 point behind them with 20 points in that second Mercedes car. Gabox with 19, 1 point behind the Mercedes driver. And then Cheery with 15, Twinkie with 12, and then in last place, Stryfium with a measly 6 points. So hopefully he's able to maybe grab, a couple of points if those ahead of him fail to finish the race. Now, just a quick look at the Constructors' Championship. Williams, a clear favorite, over, well, just about 200 points ahead of AlphaTauri with 447 points. Really doing solid work for those guys in the combined Constructors' Championship. AlphaTauri in second place, 248 points. Again, another healthy lead ahead of McLaren with 194. But, Biddo, things can change very, very quickly. Even though there's only 5 rounds left, anything can happen, especially in that Constructors' Championship when you go look a bit further down the table with Renault, Mercedes, and Racing Point all within arms or reach of each other.
Surely that championship for the constructors, not the title as you said, but that midfield can be very, very tight. And I think I was doing right now some math, and I think difference between both leaders of the championship on drivers' standings, it's 117 points between Becky B and Yama. And to seal this championship, I think Becky B needs to. He doesn't need to do almost anything. I think Yama needs to outscore by 13 points the American, if my maths are correct, but probably Neon, who's there on the chat, can take a better look at that. But right now we are ready up for this race, and I'm very excited to see these drivers here on Suzuka.
Yeah, so we could hear the beeps in the background there, and that means, well, it is go time. It is the 18th round of the Misfits Racing League Americas division. And we'll be just getting things underway very, very shortly. I'm very, very excited for this one. Suzuka is definitively my favorite circuit on the entire calendar. It's just so fun to drive, so flowing, and it's got its technical bits as well with the S's. You have to really take care through some of those. The 2 Degner corners, and then you have the hairpin, and then the iconic spoon, 130R, and then the Casio triangle as well at the end of the lap can be quite hard to nail, Biddo.
Yeah, you really need to nail the lap here to make a perfect one. It's even more difficult than other tracks. As I said, first sector, you really need to nail every apex, otherwise you will be losing a lot of time into the next section. And of course, the Casio triangle, as you said, very, very difficult. You really don't want to miss that first apex of the chicane, and of course to have a better exit on the last corner.
We are now in the session, 18 minutes on the clock. And yeah, it looks like there isn't a cloud in sight, Biddo, for this qualifying session. So hopefully we'll get a weather update for the race. But, for qualifying, it is clear skies here at Suzuka. And we've got a couple of reserves on this lift, on this grid today. And a couple of, at least one reserve that I'm seeing at the top of that timing tower, who is no stranger to this grid. Unfortunately stepping down to the Americas Tier 2, which premiered on YouTube a few hours ago. But that is Gorzieg in a Racing Point. Not in a Williams, but a Racing Point. Not a Williams, not in a Mercedes. But he's still within that family bit, I guess. He's in that pink car.
The Mercedes engine really giving him the power to drive here on MRL. As we see, I think it was Yama, the first driver there on an outlap. Oziag will be one of the reserve, as I said, as well as Deltinia. I think it's his debut today. And of course, Rhapsody coming back again to his duties there on Mercedes.
Yes, it's lovely to see Rhapsody back there after he's lost a few points there to BTFU. We'll see if he's able to reclaim at least that that 4th place spot. And see if he can make a challenge to Sejos, who has now gotten quite a few points ahead of him at this point. But yes, we'll run you quickly through this grid. So we have Gorzieg, Maxime B, Becky B, Gabizm, Vischer, Chris. I'm just going to say Delton. I'm not going to even try, because the last time I tried... Giltinia. Okay, yeah.
Giltinia, yeah.
Can't see the A there, but we'll make do. So there, Deltinia in that Red Bull seat, making his MRL debut here with us. BTFU in that AlphaTauri, of course, and then Sejos, Zamas, Yama, who we're currently looking at now as this is about to start the first flying lap of the session. Then we have Twinkie, Chiri, Casquito, Carmel, Holtz, Rhapsody, Giza, Gabox, and Struffium there in last place. Now, Biddo, take us around a lap of this Suzuka International Racing course with Yama, if you please.
Yeah, I was preparing there the exit of the chicane right now on the main straight, opening the RS, hot lap mode on that energy. Turn 1, now hugging the inside of turn 2, entering the section of S's. Turn 3, almost flat out. Well, you can do it on qualifying, but it's very, very difficult to not end into the wall. Look how much he's hugging right now. He has to put the car to the right. Now onto the left to down lap, almost flat out. He really puts the throttle down, and now hugging the left part of the track. So the Dugner one finishes first sector with a 31.1. It is a very good bunker lap, bunker sector there for the first of this lap. Going to the hairpin, downshifting to second gear and upshifting to third to not cause any wheel spin there on the back of that Williams. Right now, really close on the right part, going down to Spoon Corner. Very, very difficult there to manage. The backhand really can step up there, and you can really lose a lot of time not maximizing the exit there on the curb on the outside line. But right now going into 130R, we see the split time is 9.8, and I think this can be a 25.8 for Yamaha.
Yamaha making his way into the Casio Triangle now to finish off the first flying lap. A little bit of a snap of the rear at the exit. Definitely going to cost him some time, but what's the time going to be? It's going to be a 1 minute 26.060 to start us off here in the session. Rubiel's Cascuto starting a lap. Zamis goes into P2 only, well, less than a tenth behind him, so Zamis really showing that he has some strong pace here at this track to get within a tenth of Yamaha, but Giza, the Mercedes driver, 25.882 is his opening banker time. We're now right on board with the championship leader, Becky B, to see what he's able to do. Is it going to be provisional pole on his banker run? Yes, it is, by 300ths of a second, Biddo. A 1 minute 25.857 from the championship leader. And he really wants to seal this thing today, well, as soon as possible, really.
He really wants. Now Chris on the chicane there in the Casio Triangle, a bit lock up on the front right. Losing the back end, almost going to that barrier on the entry of pit lane. With a 25.7 and will be pole position at the moment for the Racing Point driver.
I think Maxime B, no, it's Sejos coming across the line for his first banker. Only can manage fifth at the moment. A 1 minute 26.073 for the McLaren driver. And I do believe that's Deltina, I'm saying that right, slots in right in front of his teammate for this evening. A 1 minute 26.233 for the reserve Red Bull. Very, very nice to see. Striffium across the line now with his first banker, 1 minute 27.41, and Twinkie as well. I believe Twinkie has actually invalidated his next attempt. You see, I think that was the other Renault. Yes,
I'm not really sure. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but Ciro ran out flying as well. It doesn't have deployment there very early. It wasn't before the chicane on the braking zone, and he will finish his lap, I think, or starting one. I'm really confused about that battery because for me it's not showing like he's utilizing it.
Well, he's got hot lap button. Okay, now he's backed out of it. A 1 minute 27.7 on the medium compound tires to start us off, and that's something we haven't really talked about yet, Biddo, is the strategy around this track. Are you going to see many of those guys qualifying on the mediums, or is it going to be, you know, the one stop from the softs, the two stop for the softs? You know, tell us. We don't know.
I think the most usual might be a soft to medium, even a soft to hard if you really want to undercut. The pit stop window around lap 9. Probably you can try to go as early as lap 7 with the mediums to the end, but it will be on risk of puncture there at lap 27, which is the last one on this course. And I really think a soft medium is really easy to do, but of course probably a safety car can change the plans of these drivers.
Just having a look at Rhapsody. He's hit the wall. He's tapped the inside curb at Dunlop, turn number 7, and he's just clobbered that wall. Luckily, is able to continue. It's just a missing end plate, actually. That looked like a heavy hit from the Brazilian, making his return to form. We also saw Maxime B come across the line a few moments ago to set his first lap of the session, 1 minute 26.647. Currently good enough for 9th place. 1 second covers the top 10 at the moment, more or less, with Casquito just on the bubble there. But only a few cars out on track at the moment. just under 11 minutes remaining in what is the 18th qualifying session of the season. If you're just joining us, my name is Mikhail. Joining me from Spain is Mr. Bito, resident Mercedes Tier 1 driver. So he will be the expert for this event. And things Rhapsody just going to make his way back into the pit lane. We'll see who else is out here on the track. I do believe Visha in the AlphaTauri. Honda's home race, so the Honda boys looking to do exceptionally well here, trying to give the Japanese fans all they want. He is currently on his first flying lap, but it's a very, very shaky, very, very scruffy first sector, Alex.
I think those softs are not really liking the steering of that AlphaTauri 32.0, 9/10 slower than Yama's bunker first sector. And if I see that steering wheel, those rears on, especially the rear right was really overheating over 100 and even more than 105. I think that was probably one of the causes of that sliding there on sector 1. So right now we'll see what he can do, but as long as we have seen, look at that mistake.
Oh, there you go, Tokyo drifted in Suzuka.
It wasn't a good run, and we saw there, yeah. But he saved it, and that's good because he will have more tries. I think over 9 minutes, almost 10 minutes, I think these drivers have still. I don't think he will be finishing this lap.
Well, we'll see what he decides to do. And that was a very, very big slide. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, he's just going to bring it back into the pit lane, lickety split, and do all he can there. We're now right on board with Geezer, currently sitting in third. He's making his way through the sprint curve on his second attempt. I believe you can't get 4 runs here, otherwise it's unless you bought one of them. So this could be his, well, this is his middle run in the session. The Mercedes driver been very, very impressive so far. Well, since he's joined us, replacing Gorzier in that Mercedes seat. Gorzier being demoted there to last year's Mercedes, or to the 2019 Mercedes. As Geezer comes across the line, he is unable to improve, half a tenth off. So he will stay in third with that time. Becky B making his way underneath the circuit. Don't know if you'd really call it a tunnel either.
I think more like a bridge, I guess. It's really, really short to be a tunnel, I would say. Yama not improving there on second split. He will jump into the pits. Was 2 tenths down, but he was improving first sector. And I think bad traction out of the hairpin will make that Williams not improve. Becky, as you said, flying as well. Now, right now he's going to finish the sector 2 sector. He's improving almost 3 tenths.
3 tenths. This could be a good lap here for the championship leader. Make his way through the Casio Triangle. I think he's leaving like a little bit of time on table. You can see there's a bit of a snap coming out of the final traction zone. But it won't phase him. A 125.485. And that is provisional pole by a good 2.5 tenths, Bito. So that's a very, very solid time. Only, I believe, a tenth or so off of Chen Jie's record from last season. So really showing the pace that he has in that Williams.
Del Dina was flying on sector 3. Maxime was waving there to warm up the tires. Blocked him completely. He had to almost avoid all the chicane, and that Red Bull really, really hurt it there because he was improving almost 3 tenths as well. And that's going to cost, I guess, a couple of penalty points for Maxime B.
Yeah, we didn't get that one on stream, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it. But yeah, that is super, super unfortunate. The McLaren driver, Maxime B, starting now his flying lap through the S's, he goes. But I think all eyes right now. We've seen Becky's B's second run. He's throwing out another punch towards Chris, the American duel, as it were. Chris, a driver who, while new with us, very, very well known around the F1 community. And certainly got a lot of pace. He's in that Racing Point car. And, oh my goodness, that thing just wants to turn better. It's looking super, super planted. We'll see what the split is. If it's going to be a purple middle sector. No tow from his teammate. His teammate's actually behind him for this run. He's only 300ths up, so it's not looking great. He really needs to attack this Casio Triangle, the final chicane. And he does just that, and he gets a pretty decent exit as well to boot. But is it going to be enough to topple the provisional pole time. He does improve, but not by enough. It's a 1 minute 25.650. So Chris will have one more shot out of that pole position at a track that can be very, very hard to overtake at, like we said in the pre-show. CJOS coming across the line now, a 10th off of the Racing Point driver, 1 minute 25.754. Very, very nicely done from him and his teammate Maxime B. Improves back up into 9th place with a 1 minute 26.290 bidder.
Yeah, really good improvement from Chris and Sijas, who's just there one tenth behind Racing Point. Maxime right now, he was flying as well. I think he improved. I'm not really sure. Doesn't seem like he's flying anymore. He's on 0 deployment on that battery, and and at the moment, I think we don't have any driver flying.
Yeah, I don't think so at the moment. Visha, I know, has invalidated his lap. I'm not quite entirely sure where that would be, to be honest. Maybe first Degner, second Degner, exit of Spoon. I mean, I don't. It's quite hard to get invalidations at this track unless it is at like those fast and pretty technical corners. We see a lot of drivers coming into the pit lane. Both McLarens have just finished a lap, so yeah, I mean, Karma is on an outlap at the moment. I think he's actually the closest one to starting another flying lap. 4 and a bit minutes remaining in the session, so everyone just sitting there patiently in the pits, waiting for that track to rubber in just a little bit more from the two McLarens and the Haas out there at the moment, and just get, you know, well, the best track conditions possible and get as much grip as they can, because they'll really need it, especially through that S section, and you need the lateral grip through the two dead-end corners as well, Biddo.
Yeah, certainly. Right now, everyone on pits. We have a couple of drivers on all lap now, the leader of the championship as well, going there into the track, of course. And Caramel Lesson, not gonna improve, not gonna fly. He validated it. Doesn't have a run still. Less than 4 minutes, around 4 minutes, I would say, for these drivers to complete a run. We have Gauziak, Bish, and Caramel Lesson still struggling to set one there on the leaderboards. So we'll see if they can do one, and if I guess it will have to be a safe lap, because otherwise they have the risk to be there on the back of the grid, and we really don't want that on Japan.
Yeah, so they're definitely, those three leaving it up to a one-shot qualifying. We've seen that Visha and Karma have some pace before, and you never know, Gauzy could pull something special, but I'm sure he just wants to beat his Canadian rival there, Strifium, who currently himself is on an outlap and is sitting in 16th place at the moment. So Gauzy, if you're listening, 127.417 is your target at the moment to become the better Canadian of those two. Or if you want to shoot above your weight there and go for the legendary Holtzman, 26.884. But we'll see what the Raccoon is able to do as he makes his way through the final quarter now to start what will be his only flying lap in the entire session in that Racing Point car, trying to help out Chris just a little bit, if you can. We're going through turn 1, Biddo. Looks nice and tidy, but it certainly does look quite safe at the moment.
Really safe, and well, the moment really good section of SS for the Canadian. We'll see on the first split. Of course, playing it safe when you don't have a lap set there on the leaderboard is really important. You really need to make one lap. 31.9 at the moment.
Purple set the one, apparently.
I think 1 second behind Becky's best first sector, as Becky as well is flying right now, as he's improving 1/10 that first sector.
Yeah, so Becky B on a flyer to improve. Very, very nice to see. Gauzy Egg making his way through the lesser known 200R. Lesser known of the two, well, R corners, if you want to put it that way. Through Spoon now he goes. And he gets on the power nice and early. So not too bad there from big Mr. Gauzy Egg. Coming through now, 1 minute 20 left in the session. So these drivers now will be on their final flying laps. And there's a lot of traffic there, both at turns 12 and 10, Biddo. Just keep an eye on that one. As we all just finish out this lap with Gauzy Egg. Is it going to be enough to get off of the bottom? It is enough to beat Twinkie, but not enough to beat his rival Strifium, about 6/10 off of the fellow Canadian. We'll see Becky B. I think, yeah,
So
Big called it. So he will not be improving.
No, he will not. Certainly, less than 1 minute. I guess he will retire on the pits. Probably the softs will be a little bit less wear there on them. Um,
Chris up a tenth
because
and a half through the first sector, Bido. So Becky B has failed to increase, well, to raise the bar, if you will. And Chris now, it is his opportunity to snatch that pole position away from the championship leader. Say, nah, I might have had a crash in Russia and in, I believe it was Belgium, where he reserved as well. But
yes.
the Singapore version of Chris is back, and he really wants to cement his position, maybe even go for that track record, regardless of how long it may last, a 10 or nearly 2/10. This is going to be close. He needs to make sure he gets a nice run through the Casio triangle. The checkered flag now has dropped. What is it going to be for the Racing Point driver through the last corner? Is it provisional pole? Is it pole position? No, it's not! It's not by 3/1000ths of a second, Bido. 1 minute 25.488, and second place is the best that he can hope for. All eyes now on the Red Bull of, well, I believe, Delton, huh?
Vitinha,
Yeah, there he
is
goes.
flying.
It's fifth place for the Red Bull driver, 1 minute 25.834. I believe the next one to cross the line will be Gabby Box. In that Alfa Romeo, he can improve, but not by a place. He improves by a tenth up to a 1 minute 26.619 stay. He will stay in 12th place. Coscuto, no, it's not, it's teammate Twinkie coming across the line next in that Renault. What's the time going to be? He shoots all the way up to 7th. Wow, what a massive improvement. Over 2 seconds, Bido.
She's just not improving. He will jump into the pits. We'll see his teammate is Maxime on the line. Up into P9 for the Canadian. We have a Ferrari. I think it's Amos crossing into P7. Demotes Twinkie one place, and now the other. Oh, Renault improves by going into the grass. 26.1 for Casquito, 9.89 for both of them. And I think Gabison as well crossing line, as well as Raps. It was Giza who jumps into P3.
Up to third. There he goes, the Mercedes driver. 1 minute 25.654. Yama has aborted his lap. Steve Joss into the pits. And I think, yeah, Cherry he has invalidated his run as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your qualifying. Chris, he got close, but Bido, he didn't get close enough. 3 milliseconds between the two drivers on the front row, and Vischer, unfortunately, down there in 20th place, unable to set a valid lap time. So he definitely has his work cut out for him this evening.
I don't know what's happening with Siri, but I think probably he has some desync on his screen. Because right now, it seems like he's having some issues to
letting
the
the
pits.
AI cars go, because they might think that they're still on laps, so... But, Cherry, if you're listening there, so one nice line through the Casio triangle, and you're the last one there to retire there, and there he goes. Into the pit lane he goes. And that will wrap up this qualifying session ahead of what is a 27 lap race. And judging by the times video, I do believe it will be a dry race, because I don't think anyone would have made any changes to their setups. But there you go. The two front row sitters, Becky B on pole position, Chris lining up alongside. 3 milliseconds separate the two, with Giza about 2/10, or just under 2/10 behind them. The Brazilian doing very nice things for Mercedes. Sejos in 4th place for McLaren, Yama in 5th, Deltina in 6th place, Zamas in 7th, Twinkie in 8th, Casquito in 9th, and Karma will round out the top 10. We'll go through the back 10 on the formation lap, as always, ladies and gentlemen. But Bido, what a qualifying session. I don't think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've had a closer gap for that pole position ever in the Misfits race. I mean, 3 milliseconds, you can't really get much closer than that. And
last time I remember a gap like that in Japan. It was in season 2, and it was between Tenzi and the one who's talking right now. It was 5,000, 3,000 right now for Becky B and Chris. And I have to tell you something. That's a pretty close gap, I have to say. And I think on the race, they can deliver as well that pace there and show what they're capable to do.
Yeah, less than a frame, if you want to think about it that way. Less than a frame, so there's literally nothing separating these drivers at the moment. But even though there's a few clouds about, I don't see any rain. But it is certainly very gloomy here at Suzuka for the 27 lap race. If you're just joining us, welcome. My name is Mikhail from the Great Land Down Under, Australia. Joining me all the way from Spain is Mr. Bitter, what I believe is around nearly 4 a.m. for you at the moment. So very, very nice there. And we love giving you some very, very nice racing and some very, very close racing. If it's anything like qualifying, it is definitely going to be a very, very close race as we get things set up there and have a look at the tyres. So top 10 are as follows. Becky B on pole position. Chris lining up alongside me on that front row. Then Giza, Sejos on the second row. Yama and Deltina on the third row. Zames and Twinkie on the fourth row. And then the two Argentinians, or Argentines, whichever way it's supposed to be said. Casquito and Karma are 9th and 10th on this grid, rounding out the top 10. And then we have Maxime.
It's raining. It's raining already.
Is it raining already? We'll go on board. And yeah, there are a few spits about. I don't know if it's raining.
I have it a list on my screen, on Becky B's screen. I can see the rain. I don't know if it's a glitch.
No, it's definitely there. It's definitely there. It's starting to rain. So we're going to be starting on dry tires with damp conditions, at least not ideal conditions. That it might be hard to see on the stream. But there is indeed a few spits of rain for the start of this race. But quickly, we'll go through the back grid and their tyre selections. So Maxime B and BTFU on the medium tyres, 11 and 12. Gabbyism for Red Bull on the softs, he's in 13th. And then we have Gabox, Rhapsody, Holtz, 14th, 15th, 16th, all starting on the medium compound tyres. Cheery for the Haas guys in 17th on the softs. Strifium on the softs in 18th. Gorziek and Visho will round out this grid, 19th and 20th. On the medium tyres, and my oh my Bitter, this is going to be an interesting start to this race.
It's gonna be. I think I saw Becky B really warming up the tires because they are gonna struggle there on traction. They're struggling there, I guess, as well on grip, and it's raining, and you can see their spray a little bit there when they are arriving there to the grid slots, and
I think it's getting heavier.
Yeah, it's getting heavier, and it will be getting heavier. We'll see if someone goes into the pits on lap 1, because it can happen. I don't think the grip is existent there for the dry compounds. As we see, I think Gaziak will be the last there to put the car on the grid. Bisha having a bad qualifying, not setting a lap. It's gonna cost him a lot of time.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, as Gaziak takes his spot on the grid. He will just about be ready to get things underway for the 18th round of the MRL Americas Division. 3, 4, 5 red lights here at Suzuka, and a damp Suzuka on dry tires. It's lights out, and away they go. Looks like everyone not getting off to a tentative start there. Chris Sultan right behind Becky B, but it looks like he's got Giza up for trouble on looking around the outside of turn 1. Into turn 1 they go. It looks like everyone's keeping it nice and clean. We're now looking at the second Williams car of Yama as Sejos is trying to get past Giza as well into the S section. Then we have a side-by-side action between Zamis and the Red Bull of, I think that'd be Deltina, if I'm getting that correctly from memory. And these guys all making their way through the Dunlop curve. We'll take a look back a bit further on this grid, down into 15th place with the Red Bull of, well, not the Red Bull, the Mercedes of Rhapsody. It's too wide between BTFU and Maxime B going into the first Degner. And it looks like everyone trying to take it nice and easy on this opening lap. And yeah, but what a start there. What a start for the two leaders, and what a start for Sejos as well, as it looks like Giza trying to make his way around the outside of Yama at the hairpin, going into 200 yards. Now side by side for the two cars behind them. I do believe that was Karma in the Haas and Deltina in that. And Strifium's out.
Ooh.
Strifium is out of the race, ladies and gentlemen, and we have a safety car on lap 1.
Everyone is gonna pit for enters. I can see it now. We'll see if someone risks it and stays out. Very well luck for Strifium. He really wanted to get some points and a good show here on Suzuka, one of his best tracks, he said before. And I'm really sad to see him there being the first DNF.
Yeah, it really is unfortunate, especially for all of Strifium's fans, making his way from his stream before this race. And we'll see what the guys do. Looks like the two leaders are staying out. Sejos heads into the pits though. Visha stays out. Yama stays out. Karma into the pits after being the largest winner off that start, making up 3 positions. What tyres is it going to be? It's going to be intermediates there for the McLaren. We'll get the tyres now on your screen now, as the position changes are going to really be messing things up. And it is inters for all of these guys pitting. So the guys that have stayed out are now behind the safety car, still on dry tyres. And if things get a little bit worse, or if they get worse before this race is restarted, Bido, Sidrus will be a net leader this race.
Yeah, that's a massive pit stop, as you can see there. Did Becky B... I'm having some issues of the sync, I guess, because I see Becky B on 5th place at the moment. So I guess it will be correcting itself. As well, I had some issues watching Cherry, who was blistered flying on the sky on my end. So I'm lucky to see that with the game. But right now I'm trying to figure out who's there and who's not there. But what I can see is a safety car right now with a Williams leading, and
Yeah,
as we said before, it's Becky B, and it's raining a lot.
It's really starting to come down, and we will be behind the safety car for probably yet another lap. And yeah, the rain is really starting to come down very quick. So part of me is wondering why so many drivers opted to start on the mediums. If it was going to get heavy enough, well, they need inters within 3 laps, But oh, we have a severe collision there between Deltina and Twinkie. 5 seconds for the reserve Brazilian in that Red Bull car, currently sitting in 5th place. With the safety car making its way around. Actually, we might be in if these two at the back. I do believe that's Gorziak and Visha still at the back. They've pitted for fresh softs, and Zamis has pitted for fresh mediums. So 4 of the pitters are on inters, 3 of the pitters are on slicks, and of course the top 12. And of course the top 12
That has to be
as
a
well.
mistake. Has to be a mistake of the MFD button, because otherwise I really don't see why you would dispatch yourselves to put new mediums. I will see the resurrection. I don't know
We have
damage.
Gizo. This the Mercedes car into the pits. Deltina into the pits as well to serve that 5 seconds, as well as his teammate Gavison right behind him. Oh no, the 2 Red Bulls double stacking. It is a safety car, but that is still not going to be ideal. Look at this, Gavison. He has to wait for the 5 seconds. Then he has to wait for his teammate to get served, put on those intermediate compound tires, and then he still has to wait for the pit crew to get ready to serve him in the pits. He'll only lose a
he
few.
put the hards.
And he put on the hards. What is going on?
Oh no. Well, those hards are not gonna work well right now in these conditions. And I think that was, as I said before with Zamos, I think can be happening a mistake there on the MFD, not selecting the tires correctly for the pit stop. And I think the safety car will be in this lap. And that's, I think, even race over, or not race over, but at least 30 seconds down the intermediate runners. Only he can pit and tries to undercut those drivers who haven't pit yet. That, I guess, can be the best thing he can do. Put a new set in insers and undercutting, as we can see a lot of drivers who have still those dry tires on.
I haven't seen this much confusion mid-race since France in Season 2, where it was this change between the wets and the intermediates. We had half the grid on wets, half the grid on intermediates. And the intermediates, well, sorry, the wets were faster, and to the last 2 laps of the race in that French Grand Prix, and then the inters were just working. We saw a similar situation at the end of Hungary, if you do remember that historic race, Bido, where we saw the gamble between, I do believe it was Fizimon and Holtz, and Rez as well, who was reserving for Red Bull at the time, where they put on slicks in and took the gamble, and the track dried up. But I've never seen anything like this so early in the race. They've only done 2 laps. This is coming to the end of lap 3, ladies and gentlemen. The safety car is now coming in this lap. Becky B has to slow the pack down in tricky conditions, basically lose whatever temperature that he had in those softs. But the fortunate thing for the championship leader is that, the 8 drivers behind him are almost in the exact same situation. And you can see he's sliding already.
It's too much.
He's sliding already. They don't pit though. Except Maxine B into the pits, BT's into the pits. A lot of drivers into the pit lane. We'll see how Becky B handles these first couple of corners. It's like he's able to keep it within the track limits. I don't know if it's too early just yet. Maxine B is around at the final corner. And a few other guys heading into the pits now to put on those intermediate tires. We see that now. Maxine B heading into the pits now, probably for intermediates as well. All the pitters on this safety car restart opting for the green wall, the intermediate tires. Chris has lost a slot to Yama down into 3rd. We have a yellow flag in Sector 1. I do believe that's Gorzieg Gorziak having a little bit of trouble in these conditions, and he's sliding off right into the gravel trap. It is too wet for these slicks. What does this mean for the championship leaders? The front five, still out on those dry compound tires. I really want to see how Zamus is doing. Zamus, he's doing quite well to hang on to the back of Kaskiro, and Vischer is out of this race at the exit of the Dunlop curve. We're now right on board with his teammate BCFU as we'll try and get a look at where that car is. We have a virtual safety car, and he has really crashed that car. Virtual safety car here on lap 4 of this race, and these conditions are absolutely treacherous. But Becky B has the gap. He has a 5-second gap to his teammate, and Yama working wonders for his teammate at the moment, holding up Chris slightly there, and you can just see the gap there on the track map as well. But man, oh man, we have to see these leaders pit. We have to see them pit, surely.
I really don't know why they didn't pit before, and not even before, but Becky's lighting on the exit on the safety car restart. He didn't want to go to the pits either, so I really don't know what he's trying to do. Right now, the championship leader, I think it's been too conservative. He really didn't see
there he goes.
It's really
he goes
raining
in.
right now. Yep.
Yama goes in. Chris goes in. Twinkie goes in. This is the best chance that they're going to get. Rhapsody stays out. Why?
Oh, no.
Why the Brazilian going for the gamble? But I don't know. I just don't know anymore. He will take the net lead of this race. Virtual safety car position conditions. Gorziak receives a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car. And we have Rhapsody out on mediums, Zamus out on mediums, Gorziak coming into the pits probably to serve that drive-through basically immediately. We'll see if he actually fits on the intermediate tires. No, the Racing Point crew are waiting for him. And nope, they're not. They were there to service Chris, and they don't care about Gorziak, unfortunately. But Gorziak will serve that drive-through penalty, and you can see Rhapsody, he's lost all the gap, the advantage he got from that virtual safety car. He is struggling so much, and the leaders from the safety car restart are now in 10th, 11th, and 12th. What is happening in this race? And you can see
really close, really close on the back end. Look at the traction on the inters. He's just
around the outside. This is going to be easy. This is going to be easy, surely. Rhapsody giving it everything that he can. He's using that overtake as much as he can, but he's going to have to brake really early to just make the corner. Rhapsody, oh, he does well there to slow it down, but he's really holding up the guys behind him all of the way down into what I believe is 6th place. All within this train and trying to get past the Mercedes as much as possible. Surely Rhapsody has to pit this lap. He can't go again. He can't go again. It's raining.
Up, I think. But I don't know. I'm really confused right now. Depends on this. I guess depends on the sectors. Sometimes I think on the main straight it's really raining. I think it's a.
He's staying out again.
Oh, he's staying out. I think the game is telling him that the DRS enabled. Look at this. DRS is enabled. The rise, I don't think it's that I mean, of course it's a gamble. You and Zamus and Gorziak are the only drivers there on the dry compound, and of course it's a gamble, but I don't really think they're that slow as we thought.
Yeah, I mean, I guess not. The game still thinks it is the crossover point, but I don't know if this rain's going to get heavier, if it's going to get lighter, but judging from these guys staying out, I think it might lighten up. I think they're just trying to hold it out, struggle in these conditions. And you can see Rhapsody's actually pulling away slightly from Karma. And that is the risk that you run when you go on these intermediate tires, because if it isn't quite time out, if it's still that crossover, you might have the outright traction and pace in the tricky conditions. But those inters, if there isn't enough water on the track, they are going to overheat at the end of that first sector.
And it's happening.
And it's happening, yeah. Karma, he's lost about a second. So... what is... oh my goodness. Gorziak into the pits now for intermediate tires. Maxine B's had a spin in the S's, and he's on intermediate tires. And those tires are definitely going to be overheating now.
This can be the best strategy I've seen. Not even tolls. Probably yes, compared to that. Probably can be even. But this is amazing strategy. I have never seen that. He's improving 1 second. His fastest lap.
I've never seen anything like this. In all of my, maybe now 50 plus races that I've had the joy of commentating, I have never in my entire league racing career seen anything like this. It's raining. Everyone thought it was intermediates. The leaders thought it was intermediates. They had second doubts when it started getting heavier. And now Rhapsody is pulling. He's pulling a gap on Karma on these medium compound tires. Chris gets a 3-second time penalty. down there in 11th place. He was able to get past Yama. But I am just in awe at the amount of speed that both Rhapsody and Zamis have on this grid. Gorziak has pit for a set of intermediate compound tires, so it's just the American in 5th and the Brazilian in 1st. These are the only 2 drivers on these slick compound tires, on these mediums, and they don't even soft spare, the mediums. The mediums, which means that they don't keep as much temperature as the softs will.
He went really wide on Dagner 1, sorry to interrupt there, but almost losing the cars. Just look at the delta between Carmelis and Rhapsody. Is just climbing. It's climbing there a lot.
Yeah, 2.2 seconds is now the gap. Zamis is, I think, stuck behind these guys that are all on intermediate compound tires. Casquito getting a very, very close to the back of Sejos. Oh, but he isn't going to be quite close enough. And that's another thing. Since it's raining, it is even harder to overtake because you can't just get that drive. But we'll see if Zamis is able to get the drive on these dry compound tires, these mediums that he's still running on that Ferrari. Casquito, about a 10th behind Sejos. You can still clearly see that rear wing. But you can see that the rain light is on it because they are on these intermediate compound tires. A massive lock up there.
Almost in the rear of Jesus.
Rhapsody's rain light is on as well. So I am just extremely confused where this pace has come from. But now, Casquito in that Renault, looking around the outside of turn 1. Sejos goes defensive, and not Cherry, my goodness, Casquito, I don't know what I'm on today. But the Renault driver will have to wait a little bit. Zamis has fallen back 1.4 seconds because he's got wing damage. The Ferrari has got wing damage on that left end plate. That left end plate is gone, Bido.
Yeah, I mean, that makes really more sense right now. I didn't know why he was struggling that much on the mediums, as we see perhaps they're taking another second 0.2 out of the Haas driver Carmelison.
Twinkie has pit for the medium compact tires down there in 16th. He actually might even still get ahead of Maxime B. It's going to be close. Actually, no, it's not. Twinkie clearly in 16th place. Maxime B is closing. Into Spoon Curve they go. And yes, Twinkie is clearly ahead in 16th. So look at that gap. It's 21 seconds at the moment. Keep an eye on that gap between Twinkie and Gabizum. That is going to be the indicator, I think, for a lot of these drivers on which tyre is the right one to be on at this stage of the race. But looking at the gap that Rhapsody's been able to pull, I think that the slicks are the right tyre to be on at the moment. They're just working so much better. And even with that wing damage, Bido, Zamis is still catching Casquito.
I think they're the correct tyre, but you don't really know if it's gonna rain even more and the inters are gonna work suddenly, or if it's gonna dry up. I think it's the first one. I think it will be raining even more till the DRS is disabled, and at that point, the drivers with the intermediates, sorry, the dry compounds should pit for intermediates if it's raining more. But
Gabby's look at the inside of Cherry to 130R. That's not gonna work. But Cherry goes wide and lets Gabby's through. So the Red Bull driver now up into 14th place, and we told you to look at that gap between Twinkie and what was now Cherry behind him, 19.9. So it's over a second in 2 sectors because Twinkie making his way into 130R as we speak. So what does that say to all of the other drivers on this grid on intermediates? Do they switch to dries now? Do they hope that this rain gets heavier? What do you do in this situation? They're stuck. Especially these guys with track position like Karma, like Sejos, like Casquito, because they don't want to give up what could be strong points if this rain starts to get heavier, Bitter.
Yeah, that's what I said. I really don't know what to do. I think if they know it's gonna rain even more, just stay out till the DRS is disabled, because otherwise you will be pitting, and probably that tire will be better during 3 laps or so, and the advantage Rhapsody is getting is right now not that big compared to the 1 second per lap he was getting. I don't think it's worth it to pit for any tires at the moment, because you don't really know how much laps it will work.
Yeah, well, Zamis now coming under a little bit of pressure from Geezer as well. I don't see that gap closing at the front. I do see it closing slightly now, down to 4.5, hanging around that 4.6, 4.5 area. DRS still enabled, and Zamis, he's still catching Constructor a little bit, but Geezer as well is catching him as well.
Doltinia on the inside of Gabox will try it on turn 1. Gabox working really late, and he will hold P7. Very good defense for him, but on terms of battery, the Red Bull is really gaining there on the back of Gabox, and I think if Gabox have a little mistake, the Brazilian will try to take that place.
Yeah, we can see the Red Bull really trying everything that he can. Also, another driver, another Brazilian that's trying everything that he can is Geezer. Up in 6th place, getting very close to the back of Zamis. That gap again to Rhapsody and Karma has increased yet again. But Zamis with that wing damage is struggling to really keep this Mercedes behind and really make grounds on Coscuto. So, and there we go. Look at the gap between Twinkie and Cherry. That is now a marker. It was 21 seconds a lap and a half ago. It is now down to 16. 16 seconds from 21. That's 5 seconds in the space of what is about a lap and a half, nearly 2 laps. So, it looks like the mediums still are the right tire to be on. But we'll see if any of these drivers can make something of it. Geezer, overtake in full force. He has to get as close as he can, and Zamas strips wide. As is Coscuto, and looks like Geezer around the outside closes the door on the Ferrari, and Zamas now down into 6th with that wing damage. Now Geezer has to do everything. Coscuto almost going into the pit wall. Like we saw, I believe it was one of the AlphaTauris in America's Tier 2, but Zamis is coming back at him. Geezer on the inside. It's going to be 3 wide. I can't find the camera angles that we need. There we go. And it's contact. Zamis and Coscuto. There's contact. The wings are gone. Yellow flag set to 1. That is a really dangerous rejoin there. And Coscuto, he's spun it. Zamis will spin it as well. There's a massive while up. There at the exit of turn 2. They guys have to really be careful. Zamis is out of the race. Holtz. One of the Alfa Romeos has gone right into him. That is a virtual safety car. Both Ferraris now out of this race. Oh my goodness. What scenes we are seeing here at an action-packed Japanese Grand Prix. Zamis not happy with that one at all, leaving the session almost straight away. And we're not even halfway, Bido.
It was... I think that's the definition of unlucky for a driver. I think the contact on the first place, then after that having more contact with the same driver, and then yet again even more contact.
Gabby's drive-through penalty, speeding under that virtual safety car. That's the second one we've seen in this race. Virtual safety car has been lifted very quickly. Gap between Rhapsody and Karma right now is 6 seconds. 6.1 seconds, and 2.2 seconds back to C-Just, but that is so unfortunate to see both Ferraris out of this race on lap 11 of 27. So that is the 3rd retirement in this race. 2 Ferraris and Vischer, the only ones out of this race thus far. As a Rhapsody starts at lap 12 of 27, and he, oh my god, he is just, I don't know. I don't know how he's been able to do that. He's now lapped Gorzier. Gorzier coming out of the pits for a fresh set of medium tires, which, if the conditions stay like this and the dries are the tires to be on, can make him to the end of the race. It looks like Geezer
for softs.
And Geezer onto softs.
He was able to put a set of mediums. Actually, soft inter soft has been the strategy so far for him. So I really don't know why not putting the mediums and try to go to the end. Right now, he's rejoining, at least on my screen, on 6th place. Yeah, and I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah, I don't know why he's opted for the soft compound tires. Is it going to get heavier? Are they saying it's going to get heavier, but it just isn't getting heavier quickly enough? He really is struggling on those softs. You can see the slide coming out of what I believe is turn 4 into turn 6 now.
Gabizum on the inside of Twinkie. That's a pretty good move. Twinkie holding on the outside still, but Gabizum will be just ahead.
Yeah, Gabizum gets ahead of the runner driver as Yama comes back into the session. But Gabizum still has that drive-through penalty to serve. The only other penalty on this grid belongs to Chris. Currently the Racing Point driver sitting in 5th place on 6 of it says he has a 3-second tire penalty for multiple track extension warnings. But Gabizum minus 8 tenths on this lap. So you can now see that the drives really are working. And has the rain eased up a little bit? maybe the tiniest bit better, but it's really hard to tell at this point. I think it's actually just stagnant at this level of rain. But it isn't quite enough for the Inters to be working. We've been sitting on this crossover ever since lap 2. We've been sitting on this crossover ever since lap 2, and it hasn't gone anywhere. And there's been so much confusion about which tyres to be on. Now most of the grid thinking that, nah, the dries are the tyres to be on. Look at the gap that Rhapsody has pulled. Look how much that Twinkie was closing to the back of Cheery and Gabisum. And now we're seeing all these drivers pit in for slicks, but it's a mix of mediums and softs. We're only halfway now through this race. Becky B setting the fastest of the race. He's now opted to put on the medium compound tyres. Chris has stayed out on those intermediates. And Becky B, 8 tenths of a, well, not 8 tenths, 8 seconds between himself and Guiza. Yellow flag in the final sector of the lap. It's one of the Renaults. That is Casquito into the wall yet again. I don't know if he's got any further damage, but those tires are cooked. His left portion of his front wing is completely missing. And we'll just hope that he's able to make it back into the pits safely. He's really drifting into the pit lane. And the game resets him there to prevent a further crash. Lucky for the Argentine as he makes his way into the pit lane for a new set of tyres. What tyres going to be? It's actually, he's going to retire from this race. Very, very unfortunate to see as the mechanics put a fresh set of intermediates on. And you don't want that one. But Rhapsody pulling yet another second. Rhapsody into the pits. Rhapsody into the pits. So Karma will take the lead of things on lap 14 of 27. And it is soft for Rhapsody.
I don't really know why everyone is playing for subs. I'm really, really confused right now. Those subs can go to the end on these conditions, probably yes, because you're going almost 10 seconds slower than the actual pace on dry conditions. But it's still, I don't know if it's too early still.
Well, you can see Guiza there setting the fastest lap, and that has got to be sending a chill down Chris's spine. He's got those intermediate tires still on. Rhapsody cleared ahead. He emerges in third place, and if all goes well, he can make it to the end on those tires. So all these guys that are left on the Inters, I'm talking about Karma, I'm talking about CJots, I'm talking about Chris, as Cheery comes into the pit lane now to presumably get off of those worn intermediate tires. You have to really be thinking, when do I come in? Is this rain going to get heavy? Is it going to get lighter? What's the pace like? Well, the pace is the clear on those softs as Giza has the fastest lap right behind him, and that gap is closing. That gap is closing significantly at an alarming rate for if you're the Racing Point driver. And surely Chris, Karma, and CJots have to come in this lap. They just have to bite the bullet and just accept that the slicks are the tires to be on, and they went for the gamble like basically everyone else on this grid. But Rhapsody just got it right today, I'm afraid.
3 seconds, I think, has closed Guiza right now into Chris, and Chris really struggling. Doesn't seem like on his steering, on his inputs, is that much of a struggle, or those inters. But of course, you can see those softs, and I'm gonna compare the lap times between these two because 36.8 for Giza and 41.0. It's 5 seconds per lap that the Mercedes is closing. Ooh, really, really close on the braking there.
Yeah, Karma and CJots now into the pits. Do we see Chris do the same? Yes, we do. So Chris, everyone, all these intermediate runners now going to put fresh softs on to the end of this race. And now it is a Mercedes 1-2. A Mercedes net 1-2 in this race. And if you, well, I'm sure you are absolutely loving this video to seeing both of your guys there. 1 and 2 in this race. 5 seconds, nearly 6 seconds the gap between Karma and Giza at the moment. What? Oh my goodness. What a race we are watching here tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Till the checkered flag is not shown, I'm not happy. So at the moment, it's very consistent drive for both of them. Carmel is on 5.9. I don't think it's closing right now the gap. I think he's still getting used to that grip on those softs. Zaltinia still, I think he rejoined back behind Chris, who's just drifting there on the SS.
Yeah, Chris really struggling to get those softs into at least a semi-working range. But you can see the position changes now on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. Rhapsody up 14 places, the most out of any driver. He is currently leading this race after that the strategic masterclass slash gamble that he did under the safety car. Giza, his teammate, up 1 place. Karma up 7. CJots, well, he stays in 4th place in his starting spot. Becky B, the pole sitter, down 4. Gabox up 8. Chris down 5. Deltinia down 2. BCFU up 3. Alex Yamamoto down 5. So as things stand right now, I do believe that Becky B will be taking the championship in this race. But I'm not 100% sure on that. If anyone in the chat can help us out with that.
Yes, right now he's taking the championship.
Yes, okay. So as things stand right now, Becky B will be taking the championship in this race. So Rhapsody making his way into the first corner. The gap is now closing slightly between Karma and Giza. Tire information now on your screens there. So we have a nice split between the softs and the mediums. There, but looks like all of the softs. I think the softs can make it fairly easily now. I think that even though it is a little bit longer than you would see in the dry, because it is raining, the tires aren't going to be on the temperature limit through the end of Sector 1. So that means a little bit less wear for these drivers. Maybe a little bit more wheel spin because these traction zones still aren't going to be ideal. But I think these drivers are going to be fine. If they look after the tires as well as they can and just manage the pace in those cars, I think they'll be fine.
I think it will be fine as well. The current pace from the leader, it's around 137, probably a high 137, and that's almost I would say 8 seconds slower than the normal pace on dry conditions. So it's 8 seconds you're going slower, less wear, of course, less temperature as you said as well, and it seems like you can do 11 laps on softs on normal conditions, and I think with these conditions even more.
Yeah, so I think these guys don't have anything to worry about. But currently no driver is within that 1 second window. The closest at the moment is this gap between BTFU and Deltinia. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Both on medium compound tires. Going to the end of things. I don't think anyone really is going to need to pit again. Maybe Maxime and Twinkie, maybe. But I think those two will all be fine in these conditions. Just depends on the amount of grip that those medium tires are able to produce. BTFU falling out a little bit out of the final corner. Heading to turn 1 now is the AlphaTauri driver, the sole AlphaTauri remaining. And looking at the Honda guys, well, at a Honda's home race, not quite the result that Honda and the Japanese fans would be expecting. We have Deltinia, the Pirate, they're in 8th place. BTFU in 9th, Gabby's in 12th, and Vischer, unfortunately, out of this race, which I do believe was just at the safety car restart.
I think it was, yeah, it wasn't the restart as he was on softs, and it was raining a lot for those softs. And he really slid there on the exit of Dunlop, if I'm not mistaken. It was just on the exit of the S's, and he went straight into the wall. And we have another safety car.
We have a safety car. We have a safety car on lap 17 of 27 because Gorziag has lost it heading into the Casio. And then you can see him there on the left-hand side of your screens. And that is a very, very large collision. And yeah, that's, well, that basically undoes all the hard work that these two Mercedes drivers have done. Gears is now into the pits.
That's a mistake from him.
Gears are into the pits to put on some fresh softs. Did he not think that those softs could make it to the end of the race? That's the only reason I can see him pitting at this moment.
The pits.
Becky into the pits as well. He's going to put on a fresh set of soft combat tires.
Into the pits as well.
Wow, so these guys are pitters. Everyone's pitting. Everyone is coming into the pits to put on a fresh set of softs to the end of this race.
Deltinia as well, BTFU as well, as they were on mediums. Yama, I think you'll have to, as those softs are really, really struggling at the moment. 9 laps old softs, and of course, I guess the medium runners will do the same. But Visa, well, right now he's secure. He can go to the end. He's safe, but he needs to push there to regain those 2 places he lost.
Yeah, I mean, he loses track position for, what is that, 5-lap fresher tires? I mean, that could make a difference towards the end of the race, so I don't blame him. But the thing I do blame is Yama's gone on the hards. What is the Mexican doing? He's on fresh hards now. The rest of the grid's on softs. It's still raining. And we were talking about, you know, the softs don't overheat, but the thing that Yama's going to have to deal with now is not getting enough temperature into those tires, because those hards in damp conditions are not going to do him any favors at all. I don't know if that was a mistake on the Williams crew, on the Williams strategy team. I'm lost for words. I don't know why he's gone on the hards. I mean, that's championship over. That is well and truly a championship over. He has no hope of beating Becky B in this race, unless Becky B, well, is out, like, crashes out.
Not only with that, but he needs to score by 13 points, Becky B.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's in 11th on hards.
If Yama doesn't get P4, even though Becky B does whatever he wants, if he doesn't get P4, the championship is over.
Well,
I would say actually P3. Actually P3.
Yeah, because
P4 plus fastest lap.
P4 plus fastest lap, which, coincidentally, if I do believe, is still held by the Mercedes of Giza. Yes, it is. The 36.867 is currently the fastest lap in this race. And the closest one to that is the McLaren in front of him in third place, CEST. The only other driver to do a lap in the 1 minute 36s. But yeah, we're going to be out on the safety car for a while, because you see the cars are all over the grid. Currently, only 1st to 7th have caught up to the safety car queue. But yeah, this race is Yama's pinning again. He's like, no, why am I on hards? What did you do? Why am I on hards?
He needs to put it again for softs. Really needs to.
But he'll only
those hards are not gonna work.
He'll only lose one place for his sake. Only the place to Gabby's. And he'll emerge from the pits any second now. There he is. Very soft compound tire. So it will be a, what is it going to be? About 6, 7, 8 lap sprint? 6, 7?
No. 8.
6.
8.
Something
8.
like that.
No, well, it depends. It depends on the lap. If it's on this lap, the safety car will be 8. If it's on the next one, it will be 7. So we'll have to see when this is gonna happen. But right now, the range stays the same as lap 2, and some drivers probably gonna struggle. We don't know how if the conditions are gonna really change from now to the restart of this the safety car. So we'll have to see, and drivers will have to be really cautious there on traction, on grip, and what they expect to be the track, how fast they expect the track to be.
Well, I think this rain has just been the biggest tease in league racing history. Safety car's in this lap!
Oh god, that's not good for Yama.
Safety car is now in this lap. No, that's not good for a lot of drivers on the grid. Yama down are yet to catch the safety car queue. Rhapsody has to bunch them up now. And it looks like the safety car's in the pit lane, and we are green flag racing once again, and Rhapsody gets off to a pretty decent start. Looks like Giza, though, is already making his move past to CEST for that third place, that final place on the podium. The two now going side by side into the first corner. And Giza now makes it ahead. Gabox looking around the outside of Chris, or is that Chris looking at the inside of Gabox? I think it might be the latter.
Chris.
And Chris around the outside of turn 3, and he is now up into 6th place, right behind his fellow front row starter Becky B. Will now put the gap back onto intervals for you. And there we go, Chris.
Oh, Carmelson very close. He's just on the back of Rhapsody. He'll try to move. Oh, he's really close there. It's a single file corner there on Dagnar 1, Dagnar 2. We'll see on the exit. But on the restart, I saw the temperatures for Rhapsody were not that high. And Carmelson seems like he has found the grip there on the exit of Dagnar 2. Trying on the inside of the hairpin.
He looks for the switchback. Here comes the switchback. Karma edging his nose ahead. We're going to have a drag race, and Karma's through. Karma is through. The Haas driver now takes lead of things on lap 20 of 27. Rhapsody is struggling. He made the strategic masterclass there, staying out on those medium tires, but now his pace is really coming to show, and he just doesn't have it. Karma already 0.5 of a second ahead. Now the two Mercedes only about 1/10 of a second separate the two. Rhapsody is using the toe. He's closing so much on Karma. He's going to look for the move back around the outside of the Casio triangle. The two leaders going side by side through the Casio. Karma He makes his way through there, but can he get the exit? Yes, he can. They're going to see a drag race now between the two leaders again. The switch back to the inside. Rhapsody, he doesn't defend. Giza can only watch as there's a tenth of a second separating the two leaders at the moment. Rhapsody into the first corner ahead of the Haas driver, but I think that will just send us chill down the Brazilian spine that the Argentine Karma, he has the pace to take the win. If Rhapsody makes a single error, the Haas is there to snatch that right up, and probably his teammate as well. Looks like Joss on Giza around the outside into the first Degner. There's contact. The Mercedes into the gravel. Becky B's got wing damage. Chris makes his way through. Giza falling further down. He will now rejoin in 11th place outside the points. And he has a lot of work to do if he wants to make this Mercedes, a double Mercedes podium. Yellow flag now in the second sector. Karma's round as well. Rhapsody, he takes the lead again. I don't know if there was contact between the two. It's not the first time that Rhapsody has had contact there with another driver in this season. But 1.4 seconds now is the gap between himself and Joss. Chris 2/10 behind in third place. After what we saw was a really horrible call before to stay out on these incidents, has now worked with the safety car. He's kept his nose clean for the time being. There's just now 2 places away from taking his second win here in the Misfits Raceland. Giza around the outside, similar to what his teammate did a lap ago. He can't really find the gap, but he loses the rear. DRS now unable to lap 22 of 27 of this race, ladies and gentlemen. Twinkie makes his way through. And what a... I'm just lost for words at the moment, Bido. I am lost for words. Chris is now pushing Joss through these corners. Rhapsody, 1.5 seconds. He's able to pull out a 10th to the 2 cars behind him. But Chris, he's getting held up by the McLaren in front of him. The battery more in the advantage of Chris. 60% to 40% between himself and the McLaren in front of him. Through Dunlop curve, you can just see how careful these drivers are being through it. But I think the pace differences are really starting to show now. And that Rhapsody, he might have a little bit of a buffer there, but Joss is really holding up Chris, and they are both pulling away from Becky B, who has that wing damage after the spinning Mercedes in front of him. You can see, similar to Zamas before, that left end plate is missing on that championship leader's car, but it doesn't matter to him. The only that matters is that he finishes this race and that Yama is out of the points, or is less than third place, because that means that he will seal the championship here in Suzuka.
Yeah, right now Becky B losing a little bit of time, and Gabox will try to take that place. And he really needs to take it now because Chris has a 3-second time penalty, and Gabox really doesn't want Becky to extend that gap against Chris. And it can be the first podium for him.
Oh, we have it side by side through 130 yard between the two Red Bull sponsored cars. Deltina ahead of BTFU for the time being. Looks like Twinkie and Giza having their exchange through the Casio triangle yet again, and Giza is spun yet again. I don't know if there was contact between the two, but one thing that is for certain, Giza in the gravel, and he is now rejoined in 12th place, and that is basically all points hopes for the Brazilian out the window. But for his teammate in that other Mercedes car, 6/10 is now the gap between himself and Joss, so he's losing pace from the 2 cars behind him, but these front 3 I should say, are clearly away. Chris now has that 3-second gap that he needs. Becky B just doing all that he can to hang on to 4th place. We have Gabox and Deltine and BTFU all right behind him, catching him at a rate of knots. You can just see the gap. Twinkie now, 3-second time penalty down there in 9th. And that's not going to help his cause at all. Chris looking up the inside. Can he get the exit that he needs? It's a drag race. No, he can't. That's good. They lock wheels. Joss. However, there is no catastrophic collision. There's no catastrophic crash between the two. And Joss will hold on to that second place, with that squabbling has meant that Rhapsody is pulled outside of that 1-second gap yet again. But if Joss has his way with it, that 1-second gap isn't going to last for too much longer. Now Chris in the slipstream of that McLaren in front of him. He's not really gaining though. Looks like Joss has the straight line speed, but Joss is out of battery. He's out of battery, down to 6%. Is the McLaren driver trying to get within that 1 second for DRS, and he has failed to do so. But he has failed to do so. He will not have DRS on that Mercedes. Going into lap 24 of 27, 4 laps to go in this race, including the current lap. The leads are on. Now overtake. I'll set overtake 3 times. Oh my goodness. DRS as well, slipstream, but it isn't quite enough to make the move stick. CEST, he has fended off the Mercedes.
Look at Gabox.
Oh my goodness.
Look at Gabox. He's really close on Becky, but he cannot do that move there on the main straight. It's really difficult to him to do that move there on the DRS zone, the only DRS zone of this track, and he will try to, I guess, out traction him. But right now,
he's got better worries. Oh, I thought he would go for it there. I really thought he did, but it looks like Deltina thinks better of it. Stays in 6th place, but really putting a lot of pressure on the cars in front of him, as is BTFU. Deltina looks like for a move up the inside. BTFU looking around the outside of the hairpin, has to avoid, and now Gabby's right behind him isn't quite there, but we'll have to go up to the fight for the podium as the gap is now less than 2/10, now hovering around that 2/10 range. Can Chris find the exit that he needs? CEST is out of battery. Look at the speed! Look at the speed from the racing point. Is it going to be enough? Looking around the outside into 130R. No, CEST just has enough straight line speed to stay ahead through 130R. Oh my goodness, they are so close. The gap now closing for the racing point, but can he find the gap? The opening that he needs? No, not quite. He doesn't get the exit either to help him. And we can see there in the background, Becky B fending off there the Alfa Romeo of Gabby Box. But now CEST has done well to get back in that DRS lap 25 of 27. 3 laps to go in this race, ladies and gentlemen. So far, Rhapsody is on course for a second win here in the Misfits Racing League. 6/10 is the gap between himself and CEST in the runner-up spot. And Chris rounding off the podium as things stand right now. 4.5 seconds behind them. There is a massive scrap for 4th place as Yama and Giza for 11th place, going side by side into turn 1. This could get spicy. Giza in 11th place now. Yama holding on in 12th. But there we are.
Jesus.
Oh my
Getting
goodness.
really a lot of time. He's just behind them. So sorry, of the lead. And Chris having a good exit out of Degner too. But he's just blocking that way. Won't happen there. But
He
Chris
goes for it.
in the inside.
Chris goes for the move down the inside. And CEST has no answer. Chris, despite that 3-second time penalty, on track is now up into 2nd place. We almost forgot about that 3-second time penalty. I don't think he's going to really get past 3rd now. But Karma up into 9th place. Quick Twinkie down into 10th on track. And now the Haas driver is making up any kind of ground that he can. And now Chris, he has the pace. He's shown that he can now get past CEST. But does he have the pace over Rhapsody? And does he have enough pace if he gets past into turn 1, which he needs to, if he wants to have any chance of making this a race win? He needs to pass Rhapsody into this first corner. He needs the best exit possible out of the Casio Triangular. Looks pretty good. Rhapsody gets a little bit shaken there on the exit. DRS overtake now on the outside is now a drag race between the two Mercedes-powered cars. The racing point is now through. He is now through, and he has 2 laps to make a 3-second gap. Can he do it? Can he do it? Leave your predictions there in the chat. Can Chris make the gap that he needs? It's already 6/10 of a second through the S's. 7/10, nearing on 8. This is going to be insane.
Well, I really don't know what happened. Chris is really pushing. He needs to. He cannot waste any millimeter of this track. Right now he has to push 2.5 tenths there, improving on sector 1. And Chris is really gapping
already.
that Mercedes.
That's 1. He
Rhapsody
needs
doesn't
2 more.
He doesn't have to risk anything, but still he really needs to keep up the pace there. And Chris sliding in the exit of the hairpin. That can cost a little bit of time for the American driver. And CEST right now battling for the lead of the race as well. Then Rhapsody has to defend as well.
1.2 seconds now is the gap between Chris and Rhapsody. Cherry picking up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as we're getting to that latter stage of the race, and the drivers are now starting to push, and they can see there isn't a whole lot of laps left. There's only 1 lap and a sector to go. 1.4 is the gap. Chris has pulled half of the gap that he needs in 1 lap. But now Rhapsody using that battery to try and stay as close as he can and really put Chris under pressure. We are now going to enter the final lap of this race. Chris has a 3-second time penalty. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Rhapsody He's doing all that he can to hold on to this win. CEST is there as well with him, right with him. Chris, he needs to pull out the lap of his life. Only 6% ERS. 6% ERS for Chris, and he gets a snap out of the turn 2. He doesn't need that. He needs to pull 2 seconds gap on Rhapsody. He has the pace through the S's. 1.3 now, 1.4. He has 2 sectors to pull 1.5 seconds on the Mercedes behind him. But the Mercedes now has the battery he needs. Chris running as light as possible, pushing as much as he can. 1.7, 1.8. He is so close. He is so close to this race win now. We'll have to keep an eye on this gap as there is still battles on track further down this grid. Looks like the train being held up by Becky B. He's going to hold on to that 4th place unless someone tries something insane. How's the straight line speed? Chris, 1.7, 1.8. It's hovering around 1.8. Chris needs the absolute exit of his life at this smooth curve. Can he get it? No, he can't. He can't. He gets a little bit of a snap there in Rhapsody. The gap's closing. The gap's closing. He has 30% ERS to burn on this final straight. Oh no, this is the win slipping out of his hands. Chris, he did all of it that he could, but it isn't going to be quite enough. Now as they round the final couple of corners, it will be Chris on track. 1.7. Again, nearly bends it into the wall. Here's Chris on track first with that 3-second time round. It's going to be Rhapsody and CEST the 1-2. Chris will have to settle for 3rd. Now Becky B in 4th place. Gabox in 5th. BTFU with that 3-second time penalty down into 8th place. That is Red Bull 6 and 7. BTFU and 8. Karma in 9th with by 0.02 of a second. And Geeta will round out the top 10. What a crazy race. Looks like Yama has a little bit of a spin across the final corner. Maxime B denying that fastest lap point. 1 minute 36.776. He will take that fastest lap point away from anyone in the top 10. And Holtz coming across the line now to be the last finisher in this race. I'm lost for words, but that is without a doubt probably the craziest, one of the craziest Japanese Grand Prix I have ever witnessed. Tier 1 last season came close in similar conditions, but I'm lost for words. Rhapsody picking up his 2nd win there in the Misfits Racing League. I do believe his last win was in France. All the way back in France, and a return to glory to Rhapsody. He had a couple of race bans throughout. I think it was around from Spa and Monza. And he left the league for a little bit, but he's come back, and he has come back strong. The Brazilian claiming the full 25 points for the Mercedes squad. And, well, that's one driver that I'm sure will be very, very happy with the results.
Not only him, but Becky B clinches the championship. Becky B will be the winner, if I'm not mistaken. Not only him, but Williams as a team for MRL Americas Division 1. And, well, that's a pretty decent and pretty dominant job, I think, for both drivers there on Williams.
Well, it looks like there's a bit of an issue there with the lobby. I can't get the final results up on the screen for you all to go through the rest of the grid. But we do know Rhapsody in 1st. We do have CEST in 2nd, and Chris. He tried all he could. He tried everything that he could, but it just wasn't quite enough to take the win of things. We'll also have a moment to speak to the newly crowned America's Division Championship, Becky B. He's been strong all season. We've had reserves and new drivers come in to really challenge that crown for those race wins, but just the consistency that he's shown, consistently scoring points, even if it's not the highest points available, he was consistently in that top 10 and consistently ahead of his main championship rivals, Rhapsody, BTFU, and CEST as well. We'll now get started on the interviews. We've got a lot of drivers to get through. All 4 of our interviewers are in the interview waiting room. We'll now start with the 3rd place driver, Chris. Chris, Mate, you tried everything that you could in that race. That 3 second penalty really coming back to bite you. You made your way past CEST, you made your way past Rhapsody, but in the end, that 3 seconds cost you what would have been a win out there on the track. But that was probably I don't know your full history, forgive me for that, but I've got to say, that is one of probably the most challenging league races I've ever seen. It was in that changeable window between intermediates and slicks for basically the entire race, but in the end, the slicks were fastest. Just give us your initial thoughts after those final few laps.
Yeah, I mean, it was I the as Kime said, the weather model on this game is inferior to other games. I'm sure Bido knows that from when we raced at F1VO in Spain. Um, yeah, it was pitting to the enters was the worst decision of all time. I was like out of the points. I was sliding around. I got a warning for going off track when I was battling with Yama. Yeah, it was so bad, and I was saying in the middle of the race like, this is such a horrible race. Like, I didn't even think I was gonna get points, and that safety car came out at what I thought was a pretty bad time for me. But then after the safety car incidents just happened left and right, and I nearly got collected by two of them. But I kept going with it. And yeah, I made up 7 positions at the end. One on track, was putting in mega laps at the end, but um, uh, yeah, I got 2 warnings, and if I can get them removed, then I can probably get the win on pens as well.
Yeah, just run us through the start of the race. It starts spitting on the formation lap. Were there any really concerns at that point? And then Stryfium having his incident causing the first safety car. What was going through your head? It starts raining. Is it going to get heavier? Is it going to get lighter? Like, what was going through your head at that first safety car? And when you saw that a lot of drivers were indeed pitting for those intermediate tires?
Well, yeah, I saw like 2, 3 people pitting, but I stayed out because of some of the decisions that I made in past league races. I just said to stay out, copy what I did um, from previous races. Um, Turned out that was um, it was a good decision, or but then safety car came in, and then I just had no grip on those soft tires. So then I was like, oh, I have to pit. But then pitting to the enters was a terrible decision for my part. But um, yeah, I still got a podium, but I really would have liked to have won here. I've failed every time, and I I guess I failed again today unless I got those warnings removed.
Well, you certainly put in a valiant, valiant effort after what was probably a strategic nightmare that entire race for most of the grid. Most of the grid did indeed pit for the intermediate tires. But congratulations again on the points nonetheless, and we hope to see you do well back here next week for what I believe is your home race around the United States. So we hope to see you then. Thank you for your time, Chris.
Thank you, Mika.
All right. Now I'll let you take the next interview, Bitter, if you are available. We are now joined by the runner-up in this race, CEST. CEST, well done, mate. Second place before I hand things off to Bitter. It was a crazy, crazy race, and I just want to say, from your recent run of form, really, really well done.
Yeah, thanks. It was quite the dynamic race, literally with the weather, because it was you didn't know if inters or um drives were faster, and it was kind of difficult to tell until the first guy started pitting the softs, and they were really gaining. So I mean, it was probably one of the most from a weather perspective, one of the most interesting races yet this season.
I'm not sure if Bitter, you're here to
Yeah,
take this in. There, all yours, mate.
yeah, it was really really difficult. We saw a lot of drivers struggling. I really don't know what to say because, as Chris said, it was a nightmare. Mika said it's a nightmare. And do you actually thought you were gonna have like that base on the inters? You really thought it was gonna rain even more to put the inters and it was gonna get worth it, or you just gambled?
I mean, well, originally, I went lap one safety car, and I thought that if I put onto the inters, I could have like one of the best strategies ever. And then it kind of stayed like the same amount of rain the entire time. It never really got worse, and it was so close. The pace was so similar between the two um up until like up until when the drives were just faster when Giza pit. So I mean, I was planning to go inters up until like lap 15.
Yeah, a lot of drivers gambling there. Rhapsody was one of them, risking everything to make the dries work. And I think you might be happy with that result after all. Well, how difficult it was to keep a good position there on track on these conditions. How you look, how you think your pace is gonna get on your home track? I think it is next week USA.
Um, I don't know. I think it's just gonna be fun to try out that track. To be honest, I'm just not sure how it'll go. I think my pace will be pretty good, as my past few races has um I've had some good results in those, and just kind of hope to keep it keep it going upwards and secure P2 in the championship.
Very good job, very good job, Caesars. We hope we see you next week.
Thank you.
Well, we'll now talk to the race winner of things, and my oh my Rhapsody. What an absolute, like, just crazy, crazy race, and what a way to come back to MRL and just to take the win in that fashion. Just give us your emotions at the moment. How are you feeling after that race?
Man, oh man. First of all, good evening, Michael. Good evening, Bito. Yeah, it was a pretty confused race, and I didn't understand when people was pitting for Inters, since the grip was there. The grip was there. It was not 100%, but the grip was there, and I decided, so I will keep my slick tires, and the gamble turned out to be a success. And I guess for some laps, Carmillison was faster than me with intermediate tires, but as I could keep a high temperature on my tires, I was fine. I was fine. All the time I was fine. I had my heat down, and I just drove.
Yeah, was there any sort of like voice in your ear at that point when we saw you stay out? Because it was very, very difficult to tell. I mean, we could tell that all the way down the grid. It was just yourself and Zamus who stayed out on those mediums. Unfortunately, Zamus getting a bit into a bit of an incident and leading to retirement. But was there like, any sort of doubts at all during that race that the Inters might have been faster?
Well, I guess it was a lap to lap. One lap, intermediate tires were better, and on the other lap, the dry tires are better. Uh, as I said, Carmelison was faster than me for some laps, and then I was faster, and then he was faster again, and it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
Yes, it was certainly one that will really, really mess with your head. Now, so what last one from me, before we speak to the newly crowned champion. Um, Next week, USA, Circuit of the Americas. How are you feeling? Pace looking strong for that one. Is Mercedes going to be back on top once again? Because we saw you and Giza running 1-2 for a little bit there.
Well, Miko, this gives me just to mention about the race, and later on the race, I had the pace. I just let Chris overtake me since he almost killed me on the my strafe. So since he had penalty, just let him go. I had the pace. I had 100% ERS, and I could have fighted him. I could have kept in front of him, but I just let him go since I was afraid he could spin me or something like that. My main fight was with Sihos. Sihos was driving incredible all this race. And about USA, well, I don't. It's not of one of my best tracks, but I hope to make it deliver a good result, like I did on Suzuka. That's it.
Well, thank you for your time, Rhapsody, and congratulations again for the P1, and we hope to see you do very well again next week.
Thanks, Miko. Thanks, Bito. See you next week.
So,
And now, last but certainly not least, our newly crowned MRL America's Division Drivers Champion, Becky B. What a season! What a season it has been up until this point. 18 rounds. It is now mathematically impossible. You are now the newly crowned champion of this grid. How does it feel, Betty? How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It's been a long road. It's been a long season. There's been a lot of ups and downs. Thankfully, a lot of ups, but yeah, especially with how scuffed that race was, I'm glad to seal the deal tonight.
Well, if you're anything like Lewis Hamilton, the races, he normally wraps up the championship riders around Mexico, and his Mexico races haven't gone too well in the past few years. But congratulations on the championship. You said a few high points, few low points. Just give us sort of a summary. What stands out for you in this season before I hand it off to Bito for if he has any questions for you.
I definitely think Monaco stands out for me. I think we all know how much I love that track, so it always feels great to win there. And to win by the margin that I did definitely was probably a highlight of my season so far. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely the highlight. And a lot of lows, obviously, some rough strategy calls and a little bit of bad luck. But other than that, really happy with the season, obviously, and really happy to seal the deal. And the constructors as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think the Constructors is sealed as well. AlphaTauri didn't have the best day in the office, and well, neither did your teammate as well. I think was it 11th? I think it was out of the points after a pretty big strategic blunder. Well, congratulations on the championship. Unfortunately, Stars isn't here with me to crown you as well. We've been seeing you all throughout the season, but Bito is here, and I'm sure Bito has a few words that he'd like to say to you as well.
yeah, I really, well, to be honest, I don't have words even. Like, this has been an amazing championship. I think so dominant. Just showing the pace. Even today with damage, you were able to shine as well, keep the pace, keep that fourth place you got. Of course, with the damage, it's easy to lose time, and you lost the podium there to Chris even with the penalty. But still, I think it was an immense job, and my big congratulations, because that was, I think, one of the most dominant seasons I've seen.
Thank you.
Just one last one from me. So what does this mean for you looking forward? We still have 4 races left. It's your home race next week. Are you gonna, we're gonna see, slowing down? Or are you just gonna keep pushing forward, keep pushing to better yourself heading into season 5? Like, where do you go from here? You're now at the top. What's next?
Well, I'm definitely not going to slow down. I think the second half of the season, I definitely slowed down, so I definitely want to pick it up a little bit here, especially heading into the next season. And, I'd like to hopefully maybe get another spot in Tier 1 next season. We'll see. I've been missing it, so we'll see. But it's going to take a lot of hard work, and I'm really excited for the rest of the season and for Season 5 as well.
Well, congratulations once again. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for. I'll now let you go celebrate there with your teammate, who is also, both the Constructors champions as well. So plenty of reason to celebrate, and don't drink too much champagne here tonight.
I'll try not to.
I'm sure you'll do your best. All right. Thank you for your time, Becky.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Well, that is all the time that we have for today. Bito, any last words before we end things off?
This track is amazing, and when you put a little bit of water, it happens this, and we can see one of these races like this on the rest of the week on this round.
Yeah, like Suzuka, it always produces something special. It really does. We saw that here today. We've seen that in the past, and hopefully it stays like that for tiers 2, 1, AFAC, and F2 to round off the Suzuka races. But that's all the time we have for today. Thank you all for watching. Once again, a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing, !NLR in the chat. And yeah, if you're looking to take your sim race experience to the next level, then do be sure to check out those guys for sim rigs, motion sims, you name it, they've got it. So !NLR in the chat, and we do hope to see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. for those who are night owls in the UK, for tier 2 as they head to the iconic Suzuka Circuit. But that's all the time we have for today. That's all from us, or from Bido and I, and we will see you next time for tier 2.